It's good to see you guys today on a cold and rainy day. That's kind of indicative of how we played on Saturday. We went over there. I mean, the score says it all. It was a beatdown from about the end of the second period all the way through the end of the ball game. After watching the film, we didn't have anybody that quit. We played hard. We got physically dominated on defense. I mean, it was in the first half. It wasn't anything other than just physical domination. I mean, and there ain't much you can do about it. When things got bad on defense, we had some guys start kind of doing their own thing a little bit, and then it got worse. And that's kind of what happened in the second half. Offensively, we came out like gangbusters. We moved the ball up and down the field. Even in the second half, we moved the ball extremely. We had a hard time scoring, of course. But the big thing was it was just, I think, offensively for the first time, ever, they kind of got a little down there at the end of the second quarter, thinking that it was going to be another shootout. And I think some of those guys questioned whether we could answer blow for blow. And that was a disappointing thing to see, because that's the first time that's happened to us all season. And then not being able to score on the opening drive of the second half. Once we finally got them to punt the ball to us, we turned it over there at midfield. That was kind of the final dagger. But it's good to be back home. We got one more week left, and see what happens this week. Any questions?
Coach, talk to me about the importance this Saturday about Senior Day and just what you hope to do, this weekend, maybe send them off in the right direction.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Senior Day or any day. We want to win. I mean, we want to play for, pride, and like we do every week, and want to play to prove that we're better than the opponent that's coming into town this weekend. I think our guys are hurt about the outcome of the game. But let's make no two bones about it. I mean, we got beat by a better football team. I mean, you got to give Eastern Kentucky a great deal of credit. It's funny, and I'm not saying that you guys are like this, but you watch the ESPN, you read the Twitter and all that stuff. It's amazing that nobody ever gives the other team any credit. I mean, nobody gives the other team any credit in anything that you do and whatnot. I mean, they're a good team. They're 17th in the country now. They're 8-3. They're a playoff team from last year. They're the most decorated team in our conference as far as national titles. They beat us 11 out of 12 seasons, in Murray State football. They were a good football team, and we didn't have the firepower to hang with them for 4 quarters. Are we down about it? But when we saw the film, we saw that, those guys were just better than us. And unfortunately, that's the way it goes. But, you got to give them great credit. I mean, they've built them a good program. They got a good football team, and they took the football and they mashed it right down our throats, and we couldn't do anything about it.
You talked about them being better. Did you see most of those discrepancies on the line?
Yeah, well, what was on the defensive line? I mean, they mashed us pretty good, and we had to play a lot of guys up close and leave our corners in one-on-one coverage, and of course they didn't play very well. And then our offensive line, golly, man, they were very uncharacteristic. I think if you ask them, that's probably as a whole. I hate to say the worst game, because that's pretty hard, because they tried hard. We just did not play good, and I didn't think that Eastern had the best defensive line we've played this season. Second half, we did some uncharacteristic mistakes. We lunged. We didn't help a guy when we needed to be helping a guy. And again, I think what happened was we talked about it before the week started. Do we believe Tennessee State, we got down by 10, no problem at all. They're the 18th ranked team in the country. That ain't no big deal, Coach. We're going to win this game. I've told you, Jacksonville, Eastern, and UT Martin, there's just something in the water. And it started before I got here that there's a lack of belief that we can beat those teams. So you get in the game, all of a sudden things aren't going good. Do you really believe you can do it? You start doing your own thing, and then when you do your own thing, a worse is worser, and that's what happened. But yeah, on the lines, that's really where it got us there in the ball game.
Talk about the day Walter Powell had. He had another big day, record-setting day.
Yeah, he came to play. I'll tell you this about Walter. I've said it from the get-go. He's not scared of anybody. As many big plays as he makes, he makes a couple busts here or there that seem to come at inopportune times, and then he'll catch a touchdown on a play that he isn't really supposed to be there. So, but he just plays so hard. He had a great day. I thought all of our receivers played well. I thought our running backs ran hard. I thought that Casey probably in a big game had his best game since I've been here, as far as managing the game and doing the things he needed to do. I'm very, I know I'm always hard on Brockman and those big games and whatnot, but I mean, he answered the bell. I really thought that he played extremely well. It was hard to match them. They kept scoring. It was hard to keep that tempo up against the number one defense in the conference.
Are they the best team, at least the games you've played in OVC?
Yeah, I thought they were. But, go figure. I mean, golly, here we are. We drilled Tennessee Tech and UT Martin. I mean, even though it was 7 points, Tennessee Martin drills us. And then Tennessee Tech goes over and beats Tennessee Martin. I mean, hey, go figure. But yeah, I think I think them and Jacksonville State are probably the two best athletic teams that we faced.
Talk about Southeast Missouri and what you expect to see out of them this year.
Well, the thing about them is, they've been close in all their games. I mean, they're not having the season that they would like to have. And whatnot, but we've been close. They've been close in all the games. They run a lot of option, which that's just a different animal you got to prepare for. And defensively, they haven't been giving up a bunch of big plays, and so depends on what team shows up for us. I think we'll practice well. I think we'll be ready to play. This season, in my mind, it hasn't been a whole lot different than the two previous years. We're sitting here at 4-6. You take Georgia State, you put them in for Central Arkansas. You're sitting there at 5-5. You win this week, you're 6-5. So I mean, we're still, we're just a middle of the pack team, and we got to continue to get better. And we talk about it all the time as a staff. Come January 1, we would have finished year 3. I don't always see. I don't buy that this is year 3 because we ain't got all the way through year 3 yet. And the positive note is that we had a lot of good we had some young players. Janowski Davis, true freshman. Boy, he played a well of a game on a big stage. So there's some guys in those roles that are really firing me up for the future.
As far as defensively preparing for SEMO, preparing for the option, is that just kind of an assignment-based sort of thing?
Yeah, a lot of our stuff we've been doing the past 3 weeks to attempt to stop the run will carry over this week. It's just, they do a good job of overloading different sizes and motions, and they've hurt a lot of people with their option, and they run it well. So we got to do a good job with our assignments, adjusting to the different formations that they give you where they try to outflank you, and we got to do a good job of being in position to make some tackles.
I'm glad to see Matt Scheibel not back there.
Yeah, what a great player he was. But I tell you, they got two guys that they've been playing a little bit that are pretty. They're younger fellas, but they're pretty good. Don't know they've quite reached Scheibel status, but I think in time they will. But it's good to see that number 18 out of the ball game because he was a really fine football player.